Hi, welcome to the Bloom Show, brought to you by Above All Flowers and New Bloom Solutions. I am your host, or one of your hosts, because we have many different hosts nowadays, but I am your host, Saeed Naheem of Above All Flowers, New Bloom Solutions. The purpose of this show, the Bloom Show, is to help the flower industry innovate, connect, and bloom by bringing on different experts, different community members, different initiatives, different innovations to share their stories and also, most importantly, to connect everybody. So through that, we truly encourage our guests to ask questions, chime in, join in. That's why we continue to do it live, because we really like the interaction of people jumping in and asking questions. But you could always catch this show after live on YouTube, and also catch it through our LinkedIn channel where you can catch the episode happening. Today we do have a special episode which we're very excited about. And why are we excited about it is because we're working on a pretty cool project of bringing this product out, and it's an innovation. I consider it again one of the leading innovations of the 2020s, even past that. I bet, it depends who you ask, but it's a product that I remember selling a lot of when I was in the sales world 18 years ago, and now this product has taken another dimension, and it's something it's not your old school grandma's flower anymore. It is something hot. It is something cool, and that's Astro Nova by Royal Van Zanten. So today I have the pleasure of having Paul Schoorl on the show, the product manager for Royal Van Zanten, and he'll be sharing some more information and more details and insight on not only how this product is bred, but the details about this product and getting this product to where it is today and how we could acquire it. So please help me welcome. Oh, before I say that, don't forget to comment, which is always awesome. Give a shout out, throw a joke, whatever you want to do. Ask questions as well. And secondly, please share, please subscribe, and press the little alert key so you never miss an episode. So again, welcoming onto the stage, not onto the stage, but welcoming onto the show, Mr. Paul Schoorl, the product manager for Royal Van Zanten. And I hope I wasn't on mute there for a second. This thing goes on default for mute. So, Paul, you ready to hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Paul, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us today, for spending your Tuesday. We're on a Tuesday, right? Your Tuesday with me today. What time is it over in Holland?
It's 7 o'clock in the evening, so
Okay.
the day is almost over, but still, we're still an exciting hour to go, so that's great.
We do have an exciting hour. So, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited about your product and the partnerships that we're doing together, in really getting this innovative product out. We know it's not easy to present innovations, but this thing is something really cool. And when I first saw it at SAF at a convention that they were doing the best varieties award, I saw this thing and it really caught my attention, and I was looking for who was in charge and finally found him, and we're excited to have you on the show to share more. So Paul, if you can, as I do with all my guests, what do you do and how do you do it and who do you do it for?
Yeah, as you already said, my name is Paul Schoorl. I'm product manager within Van Zanten. Yes, and sometimes they describe it as let's say the spider in the web. So I work definitely not alone. We have a whole team of like breeders who are developing new products, salespeople, of course, for sales, people in laboratory that assist breeding again, do all sort of trials and tests. So there is a whole team behind it. But I'm in the spider in the web responsible for this Astronova, Alstemeria, status, and some other smaller flower crops. Worldwide, so responsible for varieties, new developments, marketing introductions. I have a lot of contacts with growers, but also internally with the different departments. Yeah.
And so we're here talking about Astro Nova, right? Astro, because it's out of this world. So explain to us, if you could paint us a picture. I see it back there. the on your background, but if you could show us, that's cool
Yeah,
too.
I hope I can show it a little bit like this. I have here some flowers. Um,
There
I
you
have to
go.
put it
There
in
you
my
go. Yeah,
t-shirt,
yeah.
I think, so people can see it.
So everybody gets a descriptive understanding of it. It's a single bloom, and how would you describe it then? I think you do a much better job at describing it.
Yes, indeed, it is it's a focal flower.
Yeah.
In different colors, different tones of purples at the moment, bicolor pinks. It has a very good shelf life. In all year-round available in all sort of lengths, from up to even 1 meter. You could buy it if you want to. Um, but it's completely new. It's a complete new development. So that is very unique, and it doesn't happen so often. So also for me, that's really exciting to introduce this kind of flower.
And does it have pollen? Is it like the double bloom lily that doesn't have pollen, or does it have pollen?
You can see a sort of tiny bit of pollen, but actually it's almost none actually. And so my wife is very happy because she's very allergic for pollen, and
Okay.
still I can take them home. So that I think is a very good test. So so that is a very good thing. And indeed, as you can see, it's sort of one layer of different petals that then generate one big flower in a stem. Um, yeah, what else can I tell about it? And that's the interesting part
Oh,
actually, because it's a new flower. Today it has quite some stripes. You can also create it without stripes, so in that way you can still go in many directions.
and let me ask you a question, which I think is super important. I was very impressed when Rob said it. What's the? I know Astro lasts a long time, but what's the vase life on Astronova?
Yeah, that is very good actually. It is when you have fresh flowers from the farm, of course, and always you have the logistics of a week, but easily after the logistics, it has a shelf life of 2 weeks, 14 days, no problem. And you can transport it dry, which is very useful for sea transport. Um, but indeed, it has a very good shelf life, and the cultivation is maybe also interesting to tell. It doesn't require a lot of chemicals. It's quite a robust crop. Um,
Oh wow.
so in that
Okay.
way, it really fits in the future demands of many growers, and also I think the market.
Yeah, and it's just very versatile because I see it as a focal flower. I see it almost as an orchid, as a lily, as a so it
Yeah,
has so many.
I see many comparisons. Yes, like that was interesting because in the beginning we did do some market research and ask, of course, one of the questions we asked many people, florists, but also growers, where do you compare it with? And indeed, comparisons came up with lily, but then with one flower on a bloom, or the Japanese compared it with dahlia, because
That's
they have
interesting.
those big size dahlia flowers.
Okay.
So we get some other people like, it looks a little bit like a zebra, but then with a good shelf life. So there are all sort of comparisons have we made,
Yeah, potato,
and that is
potato,
interesting.
potato, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let's get into some of the questions. Breeding and production. So 10 years in the making. What is the history of the process of breeding? Because this is a product that just didn't happen over time. And I think educating florists and wholesalers is amazing to know. 10 years to produce something isn't just because it was free 10 years for them. It cost them money to breed this and produce it. And now they're getting it out to market. And there's many more years of more evolution. So explain to us the process of that 10 years. How long, why does it take so long? How much is it, as much as you can give us?
Yes, and that's indeed a part that not many people see and are aware. But indeed, like this crop, you have to make crosses. I mean, in that way, it's the same like the bees that go from one to the other flower. That's what we do by hand as well. So that's the start. In this case, we had a very sharp breeder. Most of them are having a very good eye on the crop, and they some saw many years ago. That was already 15 years ago, I think. They saw something strange in the crop, which you never seen before, and they it was not a single flower yet. It was a little bit deformation of flowers, and they took it apart and bred, and then slowly they get this kind of shape. But then still, to tell you about the process, when somebody makes the crossing, then the only result is seeds. And let's say you have 100 seeds, then every individual is different. And unfortunately, that's always our handicap. Out of those 100 seeds, 99 are rubbish. They have the wrong color. They're weak stem. They don't grow. Yellow leaves. You can think about anything, but only a very few will pass. Let's say after a year the test to continue, and then still you have only one plant. There's just one plant which looks okay, and then you start propagation. And in the beginning that goes very slowly. This is still a crop that has rhizomes, so it's a sort of thick root. So you can split that in two.
Okay.
So in the beginning you have just one plant, you can split it in four, but you have still four plants. And you can imagine when you want to produce 10,000 stems a week, then you need some time for propagation. So that's
Wow.
one part, what takes time. And the other part is that we want to do the evaluation many years ago, in a row, because at this point there are growers in Colombia and also in Japan. But you can imagine those climates are completely different. So we need to test at least 2 or 3 years before we know that it's really suitable to grow. Um, so also that takes a lot of time. Then you get again, you have some flowers. It's not only the growers part, but also you want to see how it behaves in the logistics. Is the shelf life good? What is the quantity that you need? So there's also the whole market approach that needs time. So in the end, it takes from seed up to, let's say, commercial variety. It takes 8 years, and then that's just one seed
What's the
to
average
one variety.
cost? Sorry to jump in. I'm just a flower nerd. So, what is the average cost for something like that? I'm not asking you to give me too much details, but is it in the millions?
Yeah,
That's
it's in
eight.
millions.
It's in
Yes.
the millions to produce one variety. Wow.
Yeah.
And then after that,
And it's not
how?
that you have that one variety, but for that one variety, we threw away 10,000 other ones. So
Wow.
actually, this is sort of the art of the breeder, to
Yeah.
throw away others. It's a very rude job, actually.
You guys are picky, which is good. You have to be picky.
Yeah.
What were you, I'm sorry that I cut you off. I just got excited about that question because that really shows people why flowers are as expensive as they are sometimes, because someone has to recoup that investment. And in the long run, it's let's say, just throwing out a number of maybe 1.5. How do you make that up in the years to come after that investment's been done? So it's a really interesting topic for me. Were you going to say anything else, Paul?
Yeah, that indeed. Yeah, that's what with the breeder. It takes a lot of time, and also you need to collaborate with the grower as well to make sure and that's the same like yeah, where you can compare it with. I mean, you have to be a team. I mean, I can be convinced that the variety is well, but if it doesn't grow in that soil or climate, then you have to start over again. And that's a sort of process that keeps on going actually all the
Exactly.
time.
Wow. And then what do we have to look, because you explained why it's taken so long, and question for you, this product, Astronova, take longer than than other products, or?
I don't know exactly. It doesn't happen so often that you start with a new type all over again at the beginning. I mean, many crops, like me, many people know rose, but that has a history more than 100 years. So I don't
Oh,
know how people started over 100 years ago in rose.
yeah.
So in that way, we don't have a lot of comparison. It doesn't happen so often, and that makes it unique and for me also very special to start over with something new. And that so I also don't know where we are in, let's say, 10 years in future. I only can look back to just for, because that's for a breeder. It's just 15 years ago that we found this new type, and commercially we start breeding around 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, neat. And then the question is, what can we expect in the future? Because as I've been speaking to you all, it's going to take some time and more evolution, more colors. So explain to us, what are the plans for the future of Astronova?
Yes, some things are I would say almost simple to answer. Of course, we need more colors. You want bigger flowers. You want very best shelf life. But sometimes it's in the details. We can tweak with the amount of stripes in the flower, or bicolor or not, or at what size do you need actually? Because at the moment it's around, I would guess, around 10, 12 centimeters maximum
Which is it's
diameter.
the
Some
size
are a
of a
bit,
Gerberer, right? Because I'm looking at
yeah,
the
some
picture
are a bit
behind you.
smaller. Indeed, some are a bit smaller, 8 centimeters. But yeah, how far would you need? Do you need to go, or do you then have to split different lines, bigger, smaller size? So that is a very interesting yeah project, and just to explore what the market wants and what works best. But definitely we get more colors. We are already seeing them in the greenhouse. That's the interesting part, because what I see already in the breeder's greenhouse, it still takes 4 or 5 years before it comes on the market. So I can already see a little bit in the future, look a little bit in the future.
Cool.
But indeed, white colors, yellow will come, definitely slightly larger flowers.
And
But then in the end, it's also market requirements. So
yeah, exactly. And how are they bunched? How are they packed right now? Is it like a normal Astro? Or
no, because that's a major difference actually, because it's one flower. You
that's what
want
I
to see it
thought.
open,
Yes.
um, and therefore you don't pick it tight, because then you lose all the magic. The same like a
Got it.
zebra. If you pick it tight, no, I think nobody saw it actually. Actually, only the grower. You will never see a closed zebra, or
Yeah.
closed. Yeah, lilies are sometimes closed, but you want to have it open. So that's also one of the things that those are things that we also work with the grower, because that also is a new product. It's the way how they pick it, how they pack it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different.
And I
But
remember working with another company that it was a percentage of open blooms, right? At this point, you don't have an open bloom; you have one, so it's not the percentage of open
yeah.
blooms. So gotcha.
And the interesting part in that way is, because sometimes people think that a tight flower, and it's with many flowers actually, has a better shelf life. But in these kind of flowers, the difference is almost nothing. So it's much better to have an open flower, because it looks better. It's in the end, it also grows larger. So, but it just looks much better. So we pick it up open, and that's how it comes on the market.
So I have my question here, and I think we covered it, but I want to make sure, give you the opportunity to cover it. Is and we might repeat it. Sorry for everybody, but more information the better. Is what are the characteristics then of this flower? Like, how would you define this flower to somebody that is their eyes are closed and they've never seen it? What's the picture you'd paint for them?
I would say, yeah, it's a focal flower, one flower on a stem, very good shelf life, um, different colors. Yeah, how do you would you describe it? It's
I describe it as an
many,
explosion of blooms.
yeah, yes, indeed. I would say many petals, many. It's
Yes.
really,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really compact. It's really interesting. It's something that you look at and you kind of have to think twice because you're like, okay, is that an Astro? Is that a lily? So, question for you, a little geek trivia here is that the Astro was really known as the Peruvian lily many years ago, correct?
yeah.
So, is that a fact? Is it a family of the lily or not?
Technically, yes, it is. It is in the same group of Liliaceae.
Okay.
That's a group of bulbs and rhizomes, which Alsthemeria is in as well. So that's a question. Then straight away, put it on the table. Is it an Alsthemeria or not? Hmm, good question. It's a little bit like a good question about the chrysanthemum. Many people know that group of flowers, in which is chrysanthemum, but also gebra, aster. There are many other flowers in
Yeah.
that group,
Wow.
and that's also I'm not an expert in that part. Yes, it's related from the Alsthemeria. It's derived, let's say, from the Alsthemeria. But on the other hand, it took a different direction, and that's the
Yeah.
same in evolution.
Yeah.
Where do you where do you keep on call it Alstemeria, or where do you start to give it another name? In the end, Gebra doesn't have the same name as chrysanthemum. It's the same family. A lily and Alstemeria is okay. Somewhere the origin is the same. So, and that's the interesting part, probably for other experts in that area. But yeah, the characteristics are completely different, because it's just one flower. It doesn't have any more flowers per stem, so in that part it's different. Um, but yeah, it grows a little bit the same, but also already it has some different characteristics as well. So in that way, it's yeah, you can. I don't know what in the end when you give it a new sort of
New
species name.
variety,
I
new
don't know.
species. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I think
Um,
it's almost like a new species in that way. Yeah.
so just in case if anybody's joining us, we are talking Astro Nova. It's a new focal flower in our industry and in our market. It's That's what we're talking about now. Do we call it an Astro, or do we call it a lily, or do we call it something all on its own? And I think that's why you chose Astro Nova, because it is out of this world. It is completely different, and it's something almost like a dream to see this thing pop up. And as well, please, audience, ask questions, chime in. I'm a curious cat. A lot of the questions I'm asking are really off the cuff. So please feel free to ask some questions as well. And Paul will be certain to answer them for you. So what is the value to the consumer? What are they getting out of it? Why would a consumer be interested in looking for this product or asking for it, or a florist, which I think is very important as well? Why would they be asking for it, or looking for it? What's the benefit they will receive?
Now, firstly, it's an I would say it's a new shape and of flower, a focal flower. So that is really special. Um, Secondly, as I said before, it has a very good shelf life. So it doesn't just look to you in the first week, but also in the second week, and it becomes prettier actually in the second week. It becomes more open, and it really surprise you all the time. So it's also not like even, yeah, it's sort of you see it growing as well. It develops every day. So in that
Okay, good.
way, it also is never the same. So every day you see it develop, um, but still it has a very good shelf life. So I think for florists and also consumers, it's a really new, exciting flower in the market.
Does it grow like a tulip, like continue to grow, or no?
In length, not so much, but in let's say in flower shape, you see that it's growing. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's pretty fun. It's
yeah,
a ever evolving product, right?
yeah.
That's
Indeed,
really
indeed.
cool. And so what have you seen florists do? And again, this could be a question out to if there's any florist here. What would you do with it? Would you do your traditional as you would do an
I would
Astro,
say here
or
on my background, that is really nice, isn't it? So
yeah, there you go. So you did that, right? You did that, Paul.
no, definitely not. I don't have that skills to do it that great, actually. I must be
So
honest in that part as well. No, but indeed, you can. So, but it's a good example, actually. It combines very well with flowers like Gera, hydrangea, with fillers like limonium, gypsophila. When you use spray chrysanthemums, then you're going to combine a bouquet with lots of flowers with long shelf lives, but also tones to tones or mono bouquet, monocolors. That also works
yeah,
very very well. That looks, uh, especially in big flower arrangements. Then you also get a very nice arrangements. So you can use the many different kinds. But indeed, as a focal flower, um, I would not combine it with, for example, because you make the comparison with lily, but then you combine sort of the two
the two, yeah.
sort of same structure of flower types. So that is sort of a pity, I would say so.
It's a lot
Um,
more delicate than a lily, I believe, as
yeah,
well. It's just
yeah.
not delicate in a bad way. I mean, just the look of it. It's beautiful and fairy tale almost. So
And in all sort of bouquets, also when you want to have a top flowering, very tight top flowering bouquets, then it also works very well.
Oh, top flowering
Yeah,
bouquets. Nice.
yeah,
It sounds good because it does stand upright as we see that
yeah.
red one
Indeed,
behind you.
indeed,
It's a
indeed.
straight up upright
Yeah, yeah.
flower as
It's
well. So
like a disc on a stem. Yeah.
okay. And then on that note, it's a good thing at the moment. Is what colors do you have available now, and what colors are you planning on having available in the near future?
Yeah. At this moment, we have different tones of purple. We have a bicolor one with pink and white,
Okay.
and another pink one. And what is coming, and that's very exciting, red is coming. So that's very nice
Nice.
for the spring and Christmas. And that's not next year, but the year after. I also expect whites and yellows.
So right now it's some tones of pink, some tones of purples. You said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And more tones of purple and pinks will come as well.
Okay.
And the only color probably that will take a little bit more time is orangey. That is more like purple will never happen. Let's say the bluish purple. That color is not available in this group of flowers.
Okay.
But in future you will get all colors from orangey to yellow
Yellows,
to white to
burgundies, white.
purple, burgundies. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, Jamaica was one of my favorites. It was bread and butter. We sold a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of that, back in obviously falls, but and then what kind of colors? What is the? I guess we were talking about the advantage to the consumer and the florist. What's the advantage to the wholesaler for carrying this product?
Yeah, people are florists and also for event planners. Yeah, it's a new flower, so that also brings in, I think, something magical. It's new in that way. It also works very well if you want to make, let's say, more the Baroque stylish of combinations. It's a focal flower, a new focal flower, so that is also new. Um, I think when it's open, yeah, it looks fantastic. So that is also in the focal flower. You have some more options than with this Astronova, and especially with the very good shelf life. That works very well, I think, for wholesalers as well.
And it's just something your customers have never seen.
Yeah,
So, so I think that's the point. And if you do some good marketing behind it as a wholesaler, you might get sales from new customers that you've never seen.
yeah,
So
definitely.
you never know.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and that's what we hear sometimes. That we hear as well, actually, because yeah, it's a new product, so you see that some people worked with it, and especially like in events as well. Then they, for the first time, they work with it, and then they say, "Wow, this is really magnificent! It's really different compared to some other flowers they used before." So, and actually, that's what you see. Or you have to do it on the other side, but in this bouquet as well. I mean, when it's open, that flower, and it grows, and then it's really you see it very clearly that that's something new.
And consumers love that. I've given a lot of
Yeah.
flowers away in my time, and people usually, oh, you can't believe how the tulips grew, or how this developed in different color, or how the peonies
I,
went from pink to white. But some people do love seeing that process.
Definitely, I think that's what you see. That's a new. It's a trend you see is
It's
coming
an
up actually,
experience.
and I
Yeah,
see with my children as well. They like to work with young plants and let it grow in flowers that do something. So and I think it's very nice actually that it's not the same all the time. That you really see it's a product
development.
from nature. It's developing. It's
Yeah.
not just something that is standing still and doing nothing. It's alive in the end.
Exactly, and some people love that, some people don't. Some people think they're like cups that it's supposed to be perfect, but it's a natural product, and
It,
we
it definitely is, yes, and that's also actually that's an interesting discussion we have sometimes as breeding as well. Do you want to have it perfectly synchronous on all sides, or is it allowed that there are some petals a little bit disordered? And those are tiny things, but I think they make character in the flower in the end.
of course. And then question here: why collaborate between Royal Van Zanten and Queen's Flowers? So my understanding is that, correct me if I'm wrong, please, that the exclusive is with Queen's. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so how we set it up is that Growers Hub Trading in Colombia is growing the flowers and
Okay.
is exclusively sold by Queens. Why do we do that? We learned it in the past also with other products. When it's so new, you need to trust each other. You need to be transparent. You have to learn a lot, and with more parties in the chain and in the group, it's always because you get also some sort of competition.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, with those kind of new products, it's not favorable to have that actually. So it works better yeah. For some people, of course, then they would like to grow it or to like to sell it. But we especially at this stage, we want to keep it exclusive, mainly just to learn with each other and to get good feedback and to have clear feedback and transparency in order to improve again. And also, I think also for the market, for the wholesale, it's very helpful because then they know where to address to give us recommendations as well, because then we can pick it up and improve very quickly. And when you are with more parties in the group, it's always works more slowly. So that's why is one of the main reasons why we choose to have this collaboration, this exclusive collaboration with Queens. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. I do have a question here, but I'm gonna change it up a little bit, and I hope I don't get yelled at by Robin yourself. But I'm gonna change it up here. Here's a question for the audience, but I kind of want to make it into a contest here. Whoever answers this with the most creative way, I think if you guys are up to it, if you're a florist, or someone, or even a wholesaler that wants to see a sample, but you answer this, that would be really cool and fun, and we can maybe send you a sample. Are you cool with that, Paul? Or
But by the way, you can always get a sample if you go to our the website. But anyway, for
there you
sure,
go. So
and
you always get a
I would
sample,
like.
but Paul, don't ruin my game here.
Sorry,
You know.
sorry. I was really looking for a good answer anyway. So
So here's a
they get an
question: what would
extra
you
one.
do with a complete new focal flower such as Astronova? Now, if you reply and send the reply, obviously, if you're a florist or a wholesaler, if you send the reply to info at Royal Van Zanten and he picks your reply, it'll be our pleasure to send. It'll be his pleasure to send you. I'm just throwing it on them, but their pleasure to send you a sample. And later on, he could also share with you the website. I wish we had it. Gosh, the website, and maybe someone on the comments wants to throw that out there. The website where you can actually go and order a sample, and I think it's one of the first companies to kind of ever do that, where there's a landing page just for your florist or your wholesalers to go ask for this product and see a sample. So it's a great opportunity to get your hands on it right now at the moment. So feel free to ask your, I guess your Queen salesperson, or to reach out to info at royalvanzanten.com. Give them what you would do with the flower, and if not, just ask them for the sample. But please do be a legitimate florist and or wholesaler. But
Yes.
I think it's a lot of fun to do that, and it's a great way to get the word out on this product and share it with your friends, right? Which I think is very important. If you play with it, share it as well. So.
And on the
Cool.
website, indeed, the flower has its own website. It's called astronovaflowers.com, and there you can also find lots of photos and information, and also ask for your sample.
So astronovaflowers.com, correct?
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to put this here. There you go. Oh, wait, I missed it. Astro, and again, it's not Astro. We're all making
No.
the mistake. I made the mistake a couple of times when posting, but it's Astro. And
Yes, and
tell me,
that's
where did
nice.
the name come from? Why
Yeah, because
Astro?
why? Because coming back to that first research we did actually is that how, what is your association with this flower? And very often came back like, oh, it looks a little bit like a star. So then we thought about astrology, and that's how we came to Astro Nova, like new. So that's how we came by this with this name actually, Astronova.
Astro.
It's a long process. I mean, I tell it in 1 second, but we had many options. But in the end, we thought, yeah, it's a new flower. It really looks like a star. Um, So it's also a little bit like the slogan we put in, inspired by the cosmos, crafted by science. So that is sort of the character we want to give it with this new flower.
And it's certainly out of this world, as I can say. It is certainly out of this world. So going back to a little bit more nerdy, geeky stuff as well is how do you, what factors do you consider when selecting a parent plant for breeding, and what traits are you typically aiming to look for and or to enhance?
It's quite a list actually. I don't want to bother you with the whole list, but in the start, of course, we look very much to the different, let's say, uh, parts in the chain. So you're looking some traits and characteristics for the grower, but also for logistics, for the wholesale, and the end, of course, also the consumer. So starting with the consumer, then of course you're looking very much to good shelf life. People should not bother too much about when there is clean water, that kind of things. That it always works, that it always blooms. Can it handle? Then you're going back more in the chain in logistics. How does it cope with colder temperatures? Does it then indeed, can you then store it for a better, longer time? So that's also a trait we were looking for. And also, of course, many are also in a sort of generic characteristic. You should have a strong stem, good leaves that don't break too easily, flower size, color, of course, monotone. So those are sort of basic characteristics that should be okay. For the growers, production, resistance against virus and diseases. How does it cope with hot weather? Because that's also happening in the greenhouse. Those kind of things. So it's a big package of characteristics. Of course, you want to if you want to pick some, I think are getting very important for future is of course is shelf life and ornamental value. Definitely, that is very important. And in this Astronova, then you come to things like clear colors, more colors, big flower, good shelf life. So that is something. And then you're coming back more like to logistics. That's becoming very important as well. And of course, for the grower, what is very important is for future will become to do sustainable, that it fits in a sustainable system. So resistance, robust crops, that's getting really important. So those are characteristics we put a lot of effort in improving a lot. The good thing actually in the basics, in the fundamental part of this crop, is already a lot of those characteristics are on a good level. So that helps. But those are things we're looking into, yeah, indeed. Yeah.
In
So
the last
that's what you start with your parents as well, indeed. And it doesn't mean that one parent has everything. I mean that if one parent has better shelf life and the other one bigger flowers, then hopefully they work together. But again, starting with the
wow,
beginning,
yeah.
um, when you make then let's say 1,000 seeds with those parents, then let's say 950, 980 already have too much of one parent, which means good shelf life but not a good flower size and will be thrown away. And the same for the other side. So in the end of those 1,000 seeds, you only keep those 1,000 plants. You only keep a few to continue in the next phase for selection.
It's again all the breeding really it's a curious thing for me. It interests me because it's where it all starts in a sense, and
Yeah.
there's so many steps to it and trends. And are you listening to the florists? Are you listening to the growers? Are you listening to the wholesalers? And
And
that's the world
And
that
also
you
in
live.
that part, and that's interesting in Ostemeria, maybe it's not that simple that you just do, let's say, the pollen from one to another site. Very
Right.
often, because in the genetics, it doesn't always work like that. So sometimes we get seeds, but they don't germinate, for example. So then we bring them to the lab to germinate there in a special media, with extra, just energy, actually sugars, because otherwise they don't germinate. So we also use all sort of tiny tricks
Hmm.
to help all those seeds germinate, because it's a little bit like learning swimming sometimes as well. It's not like when you, let's say, put 10 children in the beginning of the swimming pool, and the ones that finish first is the best swimmer. Maybe the ones that are behind, you give them a bit more training, they go much faster. And that's
Yeah.
what you also see in breeding. The tiny seed in the beginning could be a champion, but then you have to help them a little bit in the beginning. So that's also sort of technology that's also involved in breeding, that we also use, and many people never hear about it and don't ask about it, because if you don't know, you don't know that we use it.
That's really cool that you said that. And talking about technology, I imagine you have 10 years of developing this product, but what has been that one innovation change in the breeding process? Because there has to be now analytics, and it has to be a completely different process than when you first, 20, 30 years ago. Has there been a innovation or change in breeding that has improved the breeding process down the board, across the board?
Last couple of, let's say the last 10 years is going the change. You get many more technologies.
Yeah,
Many people think straight away about genetic manipulation.
yeah.
But to be honest, in the floral business, it's hardly used. And actually, it's not so necessary in most crops, because already when you make crosses, you get so many different variation that it's not straight away necessary to introduce all sort of new genetics. Already in the parents are already so many variation that we still have a lot of, we can still explore a lot with the current breeding without, let's say, doing genetic manipulation. But still, on the other side, we can still, and that is something that developed very quickly, is new technology to already found out in an earlier stage some of those characteristics. For
Hmm.
example, when you're thinking about shelf life, um, it looks quite simple. What is shelf life? You put it in a vase, and then when you think uh, the flower turns off, then you throw it away. But at what stage are you going to throw it away? There are many components in it if you think about it. Some flowers you throw away because the leaves turn yellow. In some other crops or some other flowers you turn away because then the petals start to fall,
Hmm.
or the flower is going to bend. So there are many characteristics that make shelf life. And if you know the fundamentals, and that's what you see with new technology, if you can measure or see, or already with markers, you can look into the genetics already and see, oh, but that's a part that will probably a champion on shelf life. Then you can of course improve much faster. So those are technology that is used more, those kind of technology. And secondly, also in resistance, we know a lot more about different sort of diseases and viruses, and already in an early stage we test new varieties in a very early stage. What is their resistance? And that is technology that came up very quickly. Would make for us make a big improvement, and speed up the developments. So those are things that we use a lot, and that changed the breeding programs quite a bit in the last 10 years.
Fantastic. Thank you. I mean, love to know what innovations are happening, and that just makes all the sense. So that's very neat. Thank you for sharing. So, Paul, I think we've come to the end of the show. Unless there's some questions from the audience, I do want to throw out that question that we had for the audience was, what would you do with a completely new focal flower? Send your answer here to info@royalvanzanten.com. And if they choose your answer, they'll give you, again, this link at astronovaflowers.com, and you could request a sample. Obviously, there might be some limitations on who, if you're just, a competitor, don't order it. but if you're a florist, a wholesaler, you could go to Astro Nova Flowers, learn more, and also request a sample. And again, this is the question is, what would you do with a complete new focal flower? Again, Paul, thank you for your time. Truly appreciate you. Thank you for sharing these 45 minutes with us and sharing information. Is there any final words you want to share, Paul? Anybody you'd like to connect with in the industry, or just anything you'd like to shout out there?
And yeah, of course, thanks all for listening. And if you have any questions, yeah, ask to us, and feel free to ask. Last word, yeah, we talked a lot about the new flower. And what's also interesting is that also in introducing a new flower, that I think still is still happening. And so everybody that have good tips, like we asked in the question as well. I'm really looking forward to new creative ideas for introducing this new flower, because it's really unique that it doesn't happen. I never saw it before, actually, that you can introduce a new flower with a new future.
Yeah, with a new future, and Astro Nova says it all. It's from another world. So, congratulations on your product. And like I said, the first day I saw it at SAF contest for best varieties, or I hope I'm saying it right, but I was shocked. I was so excited. It looked very Japanese to me. It looked, and I love that style. So I was really impressed with it. And I wanted to hunt it down, so I'm glad
Great.
we found you. So again, thank you very much, Paul. I'm going to put you there in the bloom room, and hope to stay in touch. And here's Paul's info and email. If you want to reach out to him, ask any further questions, please feel free to. Oh, wait, we might have a comment or a question. Let's just see if it's PC. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We have a question. So, Daniel Bernal, have you shipped Astronova to China before?
That from Colombia, that's still a long distance. So far we didn't go that far, but it's very good idea to try, maybe.
Daniel, thank you for joining. Daniel and us were talking. We're consulting Daniel a little bit, and I think that would be a good connection. So I will, Daniel, please make sure to reach out to info at Royal Van Zanten, and we could discuss a little further. I think that that's a great opportunity there.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're looking for anybody to ship stuff to China, it's Daniel. so that could work. Okay, that's awesome. So again, Paul, thank you so much for joining the call. Thank you to Royal Van Zanten for sharing that time with us. And big fan of your product, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our audiences as well. And I can't wait to get their hands on it.
Yeah.
So have a great day. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and hope to see you all in live. That's always the best to tell about the product and to see what you're doing. Thanks.
Take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. So everybody, again, great show. It's always a pleasure to just casually talk to different people and really learn about that product, the process, right? I think it's always something important to learn about the process, learn where the flower is headed too. And this is, again, I worked with some pretty cool companies, Esmeralda, Royal Flowers as well. And Esmeralda had a great Astro, fantastic Astro. But again, that's why this is so close to me, is it's like, man, this is really cool. This is super unique in itself for the world of flowers. I do want to do a little housekeeping and mention that our upcoming show, the Bloom and Learn Educational Series, Floral Photography and Collaboration Series, which would be a guest host series by Renee Zhao of Renee Zhao, and join us on the 11th of July at 1 p.m. Please join us. It's a new series we're trying, guest host, but now an educational format. It's really good for florists, for breeders, for wholesalers to learn how to take pictures. And then we're taking it up a notch of educating the florist on how to collaborate with real photographers for weddings, creating an informative platform with unique aspects and perspectives, and that's what our educational series is going to be. We're trying to aim at once every 2 months or so, but again, everything's fluid, so we hope to do that. And if you want to be an educator on our show, reach out. If you want to be on the show, reach out. We're very open-minded, and again, this show is by the floral community, for the floral community. And again, our intention is to facilitate connections. So if you saw something that you really enjoyed today, like the Astronova, you got to practice it, Astronova, please reach out to info@royalvanzanten.com. Reach out to them or go to astronovaflowers.com. And don't forget about our show happening on July 11th, our floral photography and collaboration series. So to everybody that joined us, as always, it's always an honor to have your time and your attention. We truly appreciate you, and we look forward to having you again on July 11th. And the most important part of this show for the community, by the community, is share it. Share it with your customers. Share it with people that you think might find some interest in it. It becomes a resource for your own customers as well. It becomes a resource for your sales team as well. So please feel free to share as much as you want. And if there's any topics or anything you want us to start focusing on, reach out. This show is for the floral community, by the floral community. Thank you and have a great day.